Hey, this is Marrica Lucy, and you're listening to the Rough Concept Podcast. From my mom buying art kits and journals to nurture my creativity, to my dad having me sing in front of any and everyone who would listen at family gatherings, to my sister screaming, "Go Mallory!" from the stands in my volleyball games, to my little brother dreaming with me and pushing me to move past my insecurities, to my husband encouraging me to get out of my comfort zone and to show the world the vision God gave me, even if it was a little over the top. To my family that's been rooting for me during every creative pursuit, to former teachers, professors, mentors, advisors, and church family that prayed over me and gave me direction and advice to develop my gifts, to my girls cheering me on in the group chat and showing up at every event and every lunch and also sending me gems and words of encouragement, to my creative colleagues that challenge me to push past my limits and remind me that I'm not alone on this journey, to my virtual friends that I still have not met in real life that gas me up in all the comments and DMs on social media, to my clients that bet on me time and time again, and to my community that supports me at every turn, and the list goes on and on and on. One thing is true, God does not play about me, especially when it comes to the people that I'm surrounded by to fulfill the purpose and the will that He has for my life. And I could not have done any of this without my people. For as long as I can remember, I've had a solid support system of people that believe in me and support me, whether it's in my career or my life journey. I think the same goes for my creativity and my creative process. The creative process is very personal, and it can be lonely and isolating at times, but it can also be magical when we're surrounded by the right people. In order for me to be my true creative self and for my creativity to be in flow, I know that I need to make sure that I'm in a space where I am safe, where I feel safe and free and also supported. I'm a big girl, so I'll get the job done. But when I have community, it gives me the support that I need to journey anything with ease and confidence. Being in constant isolation stifles our creativity, right? And it can also be detrimental to our mental health and leaves us overall uninspired. We need to be in constant connection with people that understand us, that are on similar paths, and support us at every turn. As an artist, this has been very important to me, and community is everything. I've been able to connect with other creatives and gain insight on their experiences, which has also helped me grow as an artist. Being around like-minded people that support you in your creative endeavors is so crucial. So the coffee shop sessions, workspace link-ups, and oh my goodness, the FaceTime dates were ways that I stay connected. And let's talk about FaceTime dates. Shout out to FaceTime, period. I can remember when I first started on, my journey of being a business owner, and how I would connect with my friends, how I would connect with other creators that I met online and further develop a relationship with them through FaceTime. Like these are people out of state or out of the country. It's just been a very impactful and major tool with a lot of the relationships that I've developed over the last couple of years. And don't get me started on the pandemic. When everything shut down, that was like the sole way that I would meet or co-work or, bounce ideas off of, my creative peers and colleagues and friends. And even too, before that, when I was a stay-at-home mom with just me and small little Kyson, it's the way that I connected with my family and my parents and my sister and brother, my friends back home, my friends overseas, my friends, even in this big old metroplex that we couldn't connect physically as often. It was a great way that I was able to connect with people. I'm just grateful for it. I just wanted to throw that out there. And also, I believe that as creatives, it takes us initiating these relationships and allowing them to develop and unfold. But a lot of it does take a little bit more effort. And whenever you find someone that you click with and you align with, like, go for it. I know, especially relationships when we get older, it's kind of weird. But I'm a true believer that God surrounds you with people that you need in certain seasons in your life. And some people are here for longer seasons than others. And some people, like everyone pretty much, is here to teach us something about ourselves, to give us new perspective. And I feel like that contributes to living and learning, which then, pours into your creative process and your creativity. So I love it. It's been wild and so unexpected. The number of relationships I have now that I didn't have before that have come from social media. And I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about people. And it's just been a wonderful experience being a business owner and learning all these different things about, people and how they operate. And that's a learning lesson in itself. But when it boils down to it, as human beings, we want human connection. Like, we thrive off of it. I just saw a documentary a couple of weeks ago. It was called Live to 100 and about blue zones. And this guy, he would travel, his career was about traveling and discovering different parts of the world. And he studied different blue zone areas where people would thrive and live to like 110. And it was wild. But what I've noticed in that documentary, one of the biggest and consistent factors in these people living so long is having community, having their family with them, being at home with their children, just being in community, period. And I feel like from my own experience, when I do things alone, it's cool. Like, it's cool. But when I'm doing it in community with other people, it's even better. Like, it is unicorn vomit. You hear me? So it's what I've always leaned into. And I know relationships can be difficult, and relationships leave you open and vulnerable to disappointment or hurt or, all the things, right? But I'd much rather journey through those difficult moments or those challenges, because it's information for me too. And when you get into boundary setting to have healthy relationships and all of that, like, you just learn a lot. And I would much rather be open to relationships than to be close to it and not experience life in abundance, right? I mean, it comes with a risk, but it's worth it. And I was listening to a podcast, I think it was by Olivia of Organic Olivia. And I think she did a post about it. And she was saying how we cannot grow as individuals being in isolation. Like, we cannot grow as individuals being in isolation. Like, when we're around other people, people teach us about ourselves. Like, not to get into like I'm no professional, but this is from experience, and this is what I learned, like, through my own relationships with people. This is what I learned, like, through my therapist. Like, people are mirrors, and they come into your life to teach you, because no one can make you feel like anything unless it's already there, right? We get real deep. Okay. But relationships are tough, and it's kind of like ebbs and flows, and you just learn a lot about people and a lot about yourself. But I am saying all this to say that I'd rather be in community and, run into the rough patches of relationships than to be in isolation and not grow and evolve as a person. And with me growing as a person, I believe it would contribute to what I create and what I put out in the world. So, when it comes to the roles that connection and community play in nurturing our creativity, I believe that we find strength, motivation, and inspiration. When we connect with other creatives who understand our challenges, it's easier to feel seen, heard, and supported. Sharing authentic conversations with like minded people help us work through our creative blocks, learn from each other, and grow in general. The magic of collaboration can't be overstated, though. Working together with others brings unique perspectives, it expands our creative thinking, and it weaves together powerful stories. Collaboration allows us to build on the ideas and strengths of others, creating something better than any one person can make alone. A shared sense of community is a powerful tool for motivation, support, and reassurance. And when we're surrounded by people who believe in our artistic potential and encourage us to reach our goals or our highest, like move past our limits, we gain the confidence to face down any like imposter syndrome, any creative doubt, any like negative thought, right? So the power of connection and community like truly boosts creativity. So remember to cultivate connection and embrace community in your journey. No, for real, friend. I encourage you to. It not only enriches your creative life, but it also fosters personal growth and inspires those around you to do the same. How has your relationships and collaborations helped you develop as a creative? How has being a part of a community uplifted your creative spirit? I want you to create a piece that reflects your idea of community. It can be a painting, a sketch, a song, a poem, or any medium that resonates with you. The key here is to allow yourself the freedom to truly dive into your own experience and interpret the concept in your own unique way. I cannot wait to see what you come up with. This is how I take this journey, but what I love about the creative process is that it's not the same for all of us. Take a listen and learn how this creative navigates their process. Marca!
Hey, girl.
All right. First of all, you already know this whole podcast thing. You've been a part of this journey with me, so you know the ins and outs and how this has been going since jump and how
Yes,
often I've been changing it. So I am so excited for you to be here and to be a part of this journey with me.
I'm happy to be here.
I know. So, everyone, this is Marrica Evans. She's a photographer in Dallas, Fort Worth, and she is out here, people. She is the greatest coworker in the whole wide world and now friend. We've been rocking since 2020 when the pandemic
The
hit.
pandemic shut us down and brought us together.
I know. We like, how did it start? We started with the content camp.
Yeah, so I had a content camp, which was like a workshop that I put together for other content creators to come and learn from me on creating content for their brand, business, or Instagram, social media platforms, whatever. And Mel, she drew an illustration for me for content camp. But while I was working on the behind the scenes of content camp, I went to her house to work on it. And that was just like our first time really like hanging out. We would talk on FaceTime all the time, but then she was like,
Mhm.
yeah, come over to my house and we could work in person. It's like, okay, cool. Literally that day I came to her house
Everything
on
shut
the
down.
news, they were like, stay at home order. Do not leave the house. And the workshop was like the next day. I was
That was
like, I
hilarious.
don't know what this is I was supposed to do.
I know. And then, so the workshop happened. And then after that, I think the same day I got an email because I was supposed to fly out to Chicago with Laura Mercier.
Yeah.
And remember, I came out and I was like, they canceled the entire tour. It was like a 5-city tour. I was so excited about it and it got canceled. I was really bummed about that. But that's the day you came over and worked on content camp was the day everything shut down.
Everything should, and that was before we really realized America really realized what was actually going on. So
Yeah,
when the news was starting to shut down, we was like, "What is happening?"
I
And
know.
now
It
we're
was,
here.
yeah, now we're here, 2023. and she could never get rid of me. So
Yeah, I'm not going to
yeah, yeah. So I'm so glad you're here. First of all, let the people know, people that are new to you, let them know who you are and how amazing you are, and tell them why I love you so much.
Okay. My name is Marrica Evans Calahan. I am a photographer here in Dallas. I specialize in shooting digital content for influencers, content creators, brands, and business owners. I specialize in capturing the visuals for storytelling content so it could reach their targeted audience, whether you're trying to sell a product or whether you're trying to grow your following. I help people with the visuals to help tell that story. And so I've been doing that for the last 7 years. And the last 2 to 3 years has been the most transformative part of my life, especially as a woman, as an entrepreneur. I became a mom, I got married, I lost a parent. So all the things have happened. And so, yeah, that's just a little bit about me and where I am in this journey called life. So, yeah.
Yes. Oh my goodness. So, how first I wanted to ask you this question because I always think about it like, how are you like after the last couple of years? How has your approach to your art as a photographer, how has that changed for you? Your outlook on the way you do your photography?
So I think I'm kind of still in the middle of the change. So I don't know if it has changed anything or if it's changing things right now.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because when you have all those three things happen to you at once, the last thing you're thinking about is work or the art of the work. At that point, I'm just trying to survive.
Right.
So, but I think now that I'm coming on the other side of like I'm postpartum, 1.5 years postpartum, 3 years married, 2 years since my dad passed away. And so I think I'm coming on the other side of all that and catching my breath. And now I will say that this year, my work, I kind of have taken on more of a editorial fun side of photography. Like before, I wanted to just capture quality images for my clients and turn them around really fast. And I still enjoy the speed of turning around things fast, but now I've bought lights. Like normally I just show up with my camera and we outside and whatever the sun gives me, that's what I'm working with. But
Yeah.
now I use lights, I use flashes. I've opened myself up to just using other tools with my photography and I've really enjoyed that. And so I kind of wanted to expand and elevate the creative side as far as not just showing up with a camera but showing up with a vision in mind
Yeah.
on and creating something. So that's something that's number one. And number two, when you become a parent too, you kind of like always want to capture memories for people. So I've also become like a maternity like photographer because my clients are having kids and then their kids are here and they're growing up, so I capture a lot of kids and moms and expecting moms lately.
Yeah. I think it's really cool how you and your clients are kind of going through in terms of like motherhood and like life things. Y'all are kind of in the same right in the same way with
Same
that.
stage
So
of life.
yeah, so I feel like you're able to capture those moments for them from a perspective of a mom, and that's really cool. I think that's cool.
Yes, yes.
And I will say the last couple of years watching you navigate life and everything you've done it with so much grace and it's so inspiring. And I just wanted you to know, like, I see you, girl, like for real.
Oh,
You out
thanks.
here and just, because we see each other like almost every day, at least Monday through Friday.
Almost
And
literally Monday through Friday. I talk to her every day.
yeah, then like when the weekend hits and it's like, all right, girl, see you on. Because life be life, and during the weekend we tried it. I promise we tried to
Yeah,
get
it don't work.
on the call during the weekend. It just doesn't work. So, but I just wanted to let you know that like I've seen since 2020 how you've like evolved and just like I love how you've been like taking up space as a woman, as a photographer, as a wife, as a mom, and you navigate that so well, and you know what you want, and you go after what you want, and you know, like, you just know how to handle it. And seeing you through my camera, I would just be like, yes, girl, every time. So I just
Oh, thanks.
wanted to show you love because, yeah, for real. So let's talk about your photography process, your creative process. What does that look like for you?
So because I'm in a very niche lane of photography, one that is newly developed in the photography industry, it gets a lot of slack, but it's actually a fun lane to be in.
Hmm.
So I'm not a traditional photographer. I don't shoot traditional portraits. I don't work with the traditional type of client. And so my creative process is a little bit different than a normal traditional photographer. Like most photographers will have a call with the client. They go over things that they want to do. They have the shoot. They review the images. They allow the client to choose the images. They then edit the images, and then all that whole process takes about 6 to 8 weeks minimum, sometimes with traditional. My process takes 2 days.
And I'm still blown away how you like you get through it and you
And
capture a beautiful moment.
the reason why my process takes 2 days is because the lane that I'm in. So I love social media. I love how you can reach so many people, how you could tell your story, how you could just be you in your corner of the internet. And I just love helping people visualize their corner of the internet.
Mm,
Now, with that being said, internet speed and real world speed are two different things. And so a lot of my clients I see on a reoccurring basis, meaning I see some of my clients once a week, sometimes twice a week, sometimes twice a month, sometimes every other month. It just depends on the client and their budget and how much they're pumping out their content or marketing materials. So with my clients, if I see you on a Tuesday, they need those pictures to go live ASAP, whether
yeah.
it's because they're working with a brand or whatever. And so I cannot hold on to or be editing photos for weeks at a time because I'm gonna see them next Tuesday.
Yeah.
So my creative process is, because I work with people over and over again, we don't really talk every time we have a scheduled shoot because I've just learned the client's need and their style and their audience. So that is the perk of working with someone over and over and over again, is you just kind of learn what they need, what they're looking for, and what they
Mhm.
want. And so I'm able to just show up to their home or wherever we show up that day. And I'm able to show up and be like, hey, so what we got on the agenda for today? And they'll probably have sponsored posts or brand collaborations or organic content, which means content they're just creating to teach their audience something, or if they're launching a product, whatever the case may be, they'll be like, hey, we got this to do. I need to shoot this outfit. This is what I'm trying to do, whatever. And because I'm so used to working in an environment where turnaround is so fast, somebody could tell me, hey, this is what I want. And then my brain just automatically thinks of like, okay, let's do it this way. Or let's go over here to this part of your house because the lighting is like, I'm able to think quick on my feet that way. And so once the shoot is over, then we get to the editing part, which is when I do all my editing, and then I usually deliver or turn around my photos within 1 to 2 business days, depending on the client and the work.
Fire. Girl. So I am usually with Marika whenever she's working. And to see like her work from like to see her work from start to finish, from like the raw like image, what you call that? It's raw, right?
Unedited.
Yeah, to the final. I every time I'm blown away every time. So just, you know, I'm excited for y'all to hear about the work that she do, why she does it. and how she, kind of gets through her process with her clients, I think is really cool. So, what would you say though is your favorite part of the process and why?
I think my favorite part, I think every photographer's favorite part, if they do their editing, is the editing. Because not all photographers edit their work, and not all photographers are retouchers. So I am not a retoucher. But some people have hired retouchers or they have hired editors where some photographers just go out and shoot and then they have somebody else editing. I've always enjoyed editing because when you're out and you are taking the photo, like only you, if you're editing your own work, only you can know the vibe or the vision or whatever of the final. The client only see what's happening right now. Like you only see like if it's sunny outside and I got you in the sun and it's like harsh light on your face, you only see that. But when I go edit it and I like bring down the shadows or bring up the shadows or whatever, and it just turns into this whole other thing that nobody else could see it. And now I'm making the vision come to life. And so I think that's the coolest part. And because it's like my signature. Like I feel like when an artist draws something and then they sign at the bottom, like I feel like my editing is me signing at
It's
the
like
bottom.
your stamp. Yeah, no.
So
Just thinking
that's
about the way that you talk about that reminds me of like, okay, when I present someone with a rough concept, like a rough sketch, and they're like, oh my God, when you show them the shot that you took. But when
yeah,
you finish it, it's like, oh my God, I had no idea it would look this good. X, Y, Z.
yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah,
So
that's
yeah, the
really, really cool.
editing is my favorite part because you just have to like because even I could have a vision, but then I start editing and then it takes me to a whole nother. I'm like what I thought I wanted, and then I want this. So it's like you just never know where you're gonna go when it comes to the editing part. But that's my favorite part.
Yeah, so that reminds me, I had this conversation before with another artist, like the way it starts, even with the whole podcast process, the way it starts is not always how it finishes. Do you
Mhm.
encounter that often? Like when you start something, you like, oh my God, this this
All
this
the
shot is
time.
lit. And then once you go edit it, you like, oh my God, like, you know what
I
I'm
well,
saying?
I know you know because I we talk every day, but like there's two things that could happen. One, I get to my computer, start editing, and I'm like, I don't like this. And then I have to like look at it the next morning and start over
Mhm.
with fresh eyes. But then
Yeah.
there's moments where I be like, dang, I took this picture. Like sometimes I be like, I took this. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
No, I know like
I
sometimes whenever you edit too, you be like, ooh, this is
like,
fire.
oh, this
You
looks
be
good.
like, yeah. I love that. I love, love, love those moments though. I was gonna ask you too before we got into the creative process. So a lot of photographers and artists, writers, authors, whoever, there's this idea of how the creative process looks, right? And what I really want to do with this podcast is to have conversation about how we all like take this creative journey in different ways. And sometimes our processes for ourselves are not even the same each time. Do you believe it's the same for your work? And two, like, I guess I can ask this later, but my second question is how does the creative process, as it relates to like your self development, your self growth, like, does that change with you during your seasons of life? I know it's deep because I like to get deep, but
Hmm. So does my creative process change depending on the season of life that I'm in?
yeah. And like, how does it parallel? And it doesn't have to, right? But when I think about the creative process from start to finish, I always endure some kind of learning lesson or some kind of growth. If it's not creatively, it's my own self development or I learned something new about myself. Have you encountered
Okay,
those
so
moments in your
I
creative process?
have yes. So the answer is yes.
I know it's complicated the
And
first time I asked.
no, because I was just making sure before I answered, I was hearing it right.
Gotcha.
But
Gotcha.
the okay, so it wasn't my personal life that it changed my creative process. It was my business life and
Mhm.
experiences in my business that changed my creative process. So,
Got
as
you.
I've already said, I'm in a very niche new lane of
Mhm.
photography, right? And
Mhm.
so, when I first started out, I knew what I wanted to do was different, but there was no blueprint. There was no, this is how you do it if you want to work with social media clients. There was nothing. So everything I know, and even to this day, everything I'm learning is just by experience. Nobody
Right.
is saying like this is the right way, this is the wrong way, whatever. Even if
Mhm.
there is, I don't know. So when I first started, I followed the traditional rules of photography, like, oh, we're gonna take the pictures and they'll be ready in 7 to 10 business days. And learning my clients 7 to 10 business days is too long for
Mhm.
my clients that I work with. So if
Mhm.
you work with a influencer who posts 3, 4 times, 5, 6 times a week,
Mhm.
they that's a whole bunch of content you're holding from them for 2 weeks for something that may not even be relevant in 2 weeks because trends happen, like outfits or whatever industry they're in, it's happening right now. And
Right.
so I remember in the beginning of my business how much it was like a stint in our my relationship building with my clients that they had to wait so long. And it wasn't
Right.
that they, and even then I was still in my industry the faster person.
Mhm.
Like I was taking 5 business days and I was still the fastest, but it still felt like too long. And so I will say learning from being an influencer myself and just I was just like, why am I taking, like, why? I started asking myself, I was
I
like,
think I
dude,
remember the day. I think you had already taken it down and like you've already like sped up your editing or like your turnaround. And I think one day we were on the phone, you was like, I think I gotta turn it around sooner. Like I think
yeah,
I
I was
gotta
like,
start turning
why
it
is
around
this
sooner.
taking so long? Or
Right.
why do I started to ask myself, am I taking 5 business days because it takes 5 business days? Or am I taking 5 business days because that's what they say you're supposed to do? Take, you
Yeah.
know, or that's
Yeah.
what everybody else, that's how long it take everybody else. Am I saying
Right.
that because that's just the standard or because that's actually what I need, what I could do? And so I started pushing myself. I was like, I can do this faster. And I wasn't doing it in a way to be like, oh, I want to be the fastest. I was just
Mhm.
like, my clients need these now. How can I get
Yeah.
this to them faster without burning myself out as well? Or how can I price myself better to where this makes sense, to where I can do a faster turnaround with these particular clients? So that's number one, the first business experience that changed my creative process. The second business experience that changed my creative process was when I first started out, I used to shoot every day. I had like Sunday off. I was like, I'm gonna go to church, and I was sleeping in. I think I wasn't even going. Like, but I was like, it's Sunday. God said rest. I'm not shooting. Like,
My Sabbath. Yeah.
so I would shoot every day, all day. Like I just had open availability, whoever booked. And there was one time, this has only happened to me once. It only took that one time, and I have never, in 7 years, it ain't never happened
I would
again.
say when you learn something, you do not play.
Oh,
You
when
make
something happened to
you
me,
plan accordingly. You be like, that ain't ever happening to me. They give me again. You plan accordingly. You be like, like if it come up, you be like, nope, I ain't doing it. Because last time,
hashtag childhood trauma. But
another conversation for another day.
no, but like when things happen, I don't like. I don't like when I leave a bad taste in somebody's mouth. I don't like
Yeah.
if it's something I can avoid. Now, not everybody's gonna like you, not everybody's gonna mesh with you, but if there was something I did that could have been avoided that left a bad
Hmm.
taste in somebody's mouth, I don't like that. I don't want it to
Yeah.
ever happen again. I want to fix it. So I remember, I think it was year 2 in my business. I went to New Orleans to the Essence Festival. I had some photo shoot. I was like, boom. I was shooting like 60 times in a month. It's only 30
Whoa.
days in a month. Yeah, I was like, the numbers was wild.
Yeah.
So I remember I was shooting here in Dallas. Then I went off to the Essence Festival. Then I came back and I had a shoot like the next day after I got back from Essence Festival. And I overslept.
Oh
The
no.
lady called like 10 times, like,
Oh
I'm
no.
here. Like, nobody's here. And I was heartbroken. I felt so bad. I like jumped out of my bed once I saw, and she basically was like, and she lived in Fort Worth. I'll never forget. She lived in Fort Worth and she drove all the way to Dallas, and I didn't answer my phone. I wasn't there. Like, I could just, it just makes me sad just thinking about
I
it.
know. I'm like, ooh.
And so I called her and I was like, I am so sorry. Like, I
Mhm.
overslept. Like, I know you got your makeup done. I want to pay for it. I gave her all her money back and I paid for her makeup. And I drove to Fort Worth and still took her picture. And
Oh.
that day, that let me know, like, look, you cannot shoot every day and edit. You can't do it all every day. So since that day, I have only shot 4 days a week, and I do not shoot more than 4 hours a day.
Mm.
And that has been my schedule since that lady.
Yeah. Ain't it crazy how like this entrepreneurial journey, all of that, like you learn through like lessons like that. Like,
Yeah,
oh God. So whenever I started my business, whenever I started Mo Pepper Co., I used to follow this other calligrapher and she said, there are moments and decisions that I made in my business journey that still keep me up at night sometimes that I would never forget. That's been like the changing point in my career. And I was like, dang, I just got started. So,
that,
I
yeah,
was like, I don't, but she's right. Like, it's some things that I've experienced as an artist, as a calligrapher, businesswoman, doing live art that I'm like, all right, that'll never happen again. Like, I'll never
yeah,
let that happen again. But yeah, I feel you 100%, like those game changer moments.
yeah. That's one moment uh, I just, I even with me giving her her money back, paying, she loved the phone. Everything turned out great, but I still feel so bad. Even though I fixed
Yeah,
it, I
right.
still, that was like 5 years ago, and I'm still like, oh.
But you know what? That
But
just changed the game. Like the way, even to see you now, the way you go about your automations, trying to working to give your customers, your clients, the best experience with you, and how like you know tirelessly you work to make sure that everything flows perfectly and that they get the best experience. Like it takes those moments for you to be like, all right, that'll never happen again. This is how we're going
yeah,
to do this.
yeah,
And you just
yeah,
build up from there. I want to go back to what you said about when you first started your journey with photography and being a photographer for influencers in social media and how it was different. How have you kind of navigated that? Because I know now you like, this is where I am. I'm gonna stand 10 toes down because I feel that we talk about that a lot. Because me with digital art, when I started, I was like, oh, some people, oh, digital art is not real art. And I'm just like, oh, shoot, you know what I'm saying? But I love it. And it was so convenient for me having 2 kids, like to jump and get my work done. And it was still something that was a learning curve. It's not that easy as people think. So now we're in a space of I'm confident in my work and this is the type of work that I provide, and we're all different and knowing that we don't all have to do things the same way. How has that changed from now to, I mean, from before when you felt that way to now? Like, what brought you to the point now you like, this is what I do. Like, I'm Mark Evans. I work with influencers. My turnaround is tomorrow. And I still get bomb pictures. Like, what did it take for you to kind of gain that confidence and stand confidently in your work? Even though it's like, oh, it's not traditional art.
I think what changed is, I don't know if I'm saying this right, but I got skin in the game. You can't take
Oh, I wish I had one of those media effects that like, oh, I want to
like, I
do
think
it.
before, when I started, I was new, I was
Mhm.
young, I
Yeah,
was I'm 28 now. I was 21, 20. Like, when my business officially became a business, I was like 20, 21. But before, like, I was still taking pictures before, but I wasn't a legit business until I was 20. So I was like 19, 18. So when you at that age, what they say, our part of our brain ain't fully developed yet.
yeah,
So like,
mhm.
we just lost in the world, like trying to, and so I feel like when I came in, there was, to me, I was a child with a camera, and it was adults saying like, that's not how that work. That's not how.
Right,
And now, like, I feel like I'm grown, one. And two, like, I have the experience to back up what I always felt to
yeah,
be true. Like, when I
yeah,
was a kid, I was like, or when I first started out, I was like, well, I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm doing. So maybe they are right. Like, they've been doing this for X amount of years, or so I gave those reasons to justify why I might have been right. I mean, wrong, and they were right, or whatever. But
right,
really, there is no right or wrong. It's just, this is what I do. There are people who are looking for me because they pay me to do what I do.
right,
And I have the stats to back up that this is a legit lane of photography that exists, that people are looking for. And
mhm,
so, yeah, I feel like I got skin in the game. I got years of experience. Like, I can't nobody take from me what I've experienced, what I've learned, all the projects that I've been a part of the last 7 years, and still tell me that's not photography, or that's not like, you shouldn't be doing it that way. Well, you can't tell me I can't do it that way, because it's being done, and people are paying money, lots.
yeah. But yeah, I'm so glad like we were able to touch on that because I feel like for a lot of people, there's this idea that the creative process looks the same for everybody and that it has to be extensive and like you have to go like you have to be detailed. Like one artist that I previously talked to, she was like, I go from my vision to the canvas. Like I just start painting and I see where it goes. And I remember it was a point in my like journey that I was like, oh, sometimes I just sketch and I get it done in one sitting. Is it still, enough? You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad we were able to touch on that and to having different approaches to our work, like you being able to provide that service for influencers and having that turnaround and it not looking like the traditional way of
And I
photography.
think one thing I want to share that has really changed, or really has been the driving factor in how I run my business, is my client is my client. Other photographers are not my client. And so I think when an entrepreneurship is hard to navigate, what's the right way, what's the wrong way, how do I do this? And I agree. I think it's important that you have industry people that you could call, ask a quick question, or just figure
Mhm.
things out. But I feel like when it comes down to your business and what the process looks like for your business, it needs to be tailored to the customer's journey,
Right,
not whatever other photographers are doing for their customers, like, because that might not work for you. And so that's kind of what has always been the pivotal thing for me when I change something, when I do something a certain way, it's because it works better for my customer. So whether I give them the photos back tomorrow or in a month is up to if that works for my customer. And a month was not working for a lot of people that I worked with me. So if 90% of the people who work with me are saying, "Hey, is there any way we can get this faster?" I'm gonna figure out a way to get it
Yeah.
faster.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that that comes with no cost. I'm just saying, what is it that I need to adjust? Okay, if I do this faster, can I charge double? If I do this faster, like, and I talk to my clients because I shoot with them so much. I ask my clients, I say, hey, this seems to be the revolving question that you have for me. If I was to give you your pictures back on this day, can I charge you this?
You're right.
And if they say yeah, and then I'll explain, like, because this and this has to happen in order for me to give you your pictures back tomorrow.
Right.
And if this is something you really, really want and you down, I'm down. If you down, but this how much it's gonna cost. And they be like, yeah, I'm down.
Yeah.
Boom.
I'm so glad you touched on that because I think too, a lot of us look across at each other and not at our
And
clients in
not at
terms of
your
like what,
customer.
right. And I think that's relevant too across the board from how we show up with our services and experience for the client, and also how we show up on social media. Like, it don't matter like what all these people telling you to do, like, oh, you need to do this or whatever, make sure you do this. Like, what does your community want you to do? What do your community want
Exactly.
you to talk
That was
about?
always my, and every time I change something, and like, cause right, the last few years on my photography page, cause that was the driving factor to my leads. That's
Mhm.
where a lot of people found me, booked me. It was my Instagram, my photography Instagram. I would just post my work, whatever. And a lot of other photographers always seem curious as to how I was able to always be booked
Mhm.
or like to work with these type of clients. And I'm like, because I'm talking to them. When
Yeah.
I'm posting my pictures, I'm like, hey, I have these days available, or this is how you book with me, or this is how you should pack your bag when you shoot with me. Like, your marketing should be like, hey, customer, this is how you work with me. This is how it looks to work. Like, it shouldn't be like, oh, I took this bomb photo. These are the lenses I've used. That's great if you want to attract other photographers, because
Right.
those are the people who want to know that information. It's other photographers who want to know your lens, your editing, and
Mhm.
that's a different area of photography. That's coaching, that's education. But
Yeah.
if that's not the lane you're trying to be in, you need to be talking to the client. Like,
Yeah.
hey, I know all the best spots downtown to shoot if you want this type of vibe. They want you because they
Yeah.
don't want to look for nowhere.
Yeah. That's very true. Like, and that's such a wise way to approach it because you can get lost in it. Like,
You can
especially
get
trying
very
to
lost. It's very noisy online.
very,
Yeah, and that's why I also think it's important to continue to watch the client, continue to
mhm.
ask the client, because it's very easy to just be looking at another photographer's work
Yeah.
and seeing like they're booked, they're busy, they're getting a lot of likes or they're getting a lot of comments, or every time they post it sells out. But it's like, why is it selling out for them? Because
Right.
they're probably, you don't know if they're sending out emails to an email list. Like,
Hmm.
you don't know what's going on the back end that you could be working on within your business to help your creative process. Like,
Yeah.
that's another thing. Like, the admin work could make or break a creative
And that's
process.
where a lot of that's what a lot of the hard work is for creatives. Like, as like, if we've been when we talk about it all the time, how like the back end stuff is really the game changer. Like, the newsletters, that's the game changer. Like, these people signed up, they are committed to you being in their
To you,
inbox.
inbox, they have
they,
given you
they have made
permission to
space in
send them
their life,
email.
their digital life, for you, And I'm talking about myself too, because it was one point where I wasn't utilizing Flowdesk and they was taking my
Man,
money.
me too. Me too. Because
Flowdesk, I just want
especially
you to know I gave you money for years, y'all.
me too. I
I wish I
gave
knew their
Flowdesk
name. I
money.
would say their name on this. But
Flowdesk, I done got my money for 7 years straight, and I
I
done sent
know, and
them.
I think once I started communicating with my newsletter crew is when I really started to see the engagement like via email and like clicks to my website. Like they're like, all right, girl, let's go check it out.
Yes,
And we just kind of lose sight. And I think that, social media has its advantages. And the reason that I feel like we can have a career creatively is because of social media. But you can
definitely.
also consume too much and get kind of lost in your journey. So I'm glad you touched on that because I think that goes for any creative across the board. You got to see, like, you got to be in your own lane because you
Yeah,
don't know
social
what these
media
people are
is a
doing
tool.
behind the scenes. Yeah, it's a tool. And I remember me and another artist was talking recently. She was like, I want to pour into social media. I don't want to consume it at the level I've been consuming it. And I was like, that's so true because like and going back to like you don't know what these people are doing and you don't know their journey, you don't know what they've been through, what they had to do to get where they are, the challenges that they face. You really got to put your head down and focus on what you want to do. You got to know what it is that you want to do. You want
Yep.
to know what kind of creative career you want to have and what you want to offer, and you gotta like lean into your own community because those people are different and they're not gonna respond to the same things that this other person is posting. And just because it's popping over there, that's because that's them her friends, and you got
Yep.
your friends. You don't communicate the same way with your friends as somebody would communicate with their friends. They probably don't get with that. So it's kind of you
Yeah.
got to think of it that way. And I just love that you touched on that. It was something else I wanted to talk to you about when you was talking. Let's talk about your traveling experiences with photography. First of all, I just want to highlight New York Fashion Week when Marcus said
Ah,
when Marcus said she was going to New York Fashion Week. I was like, oh my god, I will get in your luggage. You want an assistant? Let's go. But just to see how was New York for you? Because just to see you in your element in New York, yeah, like your clothes, the colors were vibrant, your hair was popping, like you was posing your own in your own pictures, like whoever took
hey.
the pictures. But tell me about that experience, and then two, how does that change your creative process in terms of photography when you're traveling and in those settings?
Okay, so let me answer the first question. How was the trip? It was amazing. I think it impacted me more as a mom than it did as a photographer.
Mm.
Because since I had my daughter, I have struggled to find my groove in running my business.
Mhm.
Before I had my daughter and before my husband came home from the military, I am a I am a scheduled person. I have a schedule. I have like
So
this gonna
very
happen.
much. I just want let me cut it real quick. It's a TikTok audio about this guy that said, "You know what I figured out?" He told his friend, "If I get up earlier in the morning, I just got more stuff to do. He said, I just got more time to do stuff, you know." And she was like, "Yeah." He was like, "I kind of like it." I said, "That is me and Marca because Marca be up at 5 in the morning sometimes." Well, I guess before Ray,
Before Ray.
but Marca used to get up at 5, and I'd be like, "Oh God, I'll see you
I
at
used to be up
7."
at 4 in the morning, blasting my music, go to Pilates, do my work, go to a photo shoot, come back, eat lunch, finish some work,
Living
go somewhere.
out
Like I
here.
was living.
But you
And
still
but
are very much good with your
yes,
time.
yes, yes.
So I'm
But
the friend that's just like rolling in, like, all right, girl, I'm doing Pilates when I drop the kids off at school.
that's me now. So like New York, really felt like nostalgia to me.
Hmm.
But as a business owner, I
Hmm.
felt like me before them. when I went to New
Mm.
York.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like New York was great. I had fun. I took amazing photos, but it more so was like, I miss this. Like
Yeah.
I miss like just going and doing my thing and like not having to just think about all these different layers.
Was that your first trip after having Ray traveling?
That was my first legit like work trip. Like I
Wow.
did take
Okay.
two other trips, but it was like
Oh yeah, yeah,
work
yeah.
slash friends. Like we went
Mhm.
to Grenada and we went to, but it was like vacation more than work. But
Mhm.
this was like work. We got a show. We got to get dressed. We got like, it was like for real work each day. I was getting up to work. I had to have my cameras charged, everything. I'm taking like, it was work for real. Like it was
Yeah.
so, it was my first real work trip, not just like work fun trip. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, I really enjoyed it and I really missed it. And it really basically told me that because I think as but when you become a mom, you struggle with am I working too much or am I momming too much?
Right.
Because you love like I just listened to a podcast from Wiser Than Me,
Mhm.
and she interviewed, I can't think of the lady name, but she was like she had three kids under three, and she was asking how did you do it, and she was like, some people's passion is being a mom, and that's great, but I like to work,
Right.
and I'm a great mom, but that's not like what I'm passionate about. Like I like to work, and so that kind of like is how I felt. Like I love being a mom. I love being a wife, but I also love being at work. And
Yeah.
it's like amazing
And that
to
just goes
be
to show you love what you do too.
yeah.
Like
And
you're
so
passionate about your work. Yeah.
that's what New York it brought me is that like I want to get back to my work how not how it was because I know it will never be like that, but just like I have put off things in my work because I felt like I was still adjusting as a
Mhm.
mom. Or and I don't even know if I'm just adjusting or if I was just too scared to jump back in as the mommy me and not just
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Because I feel like motherhood is so unpredictable and I'm a person who likes to predict everything. And so I felt like I would just not do anything because I can't predict. I can't predict how this is gonna go, so I'm just not gonna do it.
I feel that 100%. In some stuff, I'd be like, I don't even know what that look like. So,
Yeah. But instead
um,
I should just do it and then whatever happens along the way, I'm gonna figure it out. So that's kind of where I'm at now.
it
So
kind
I
of
like,
reminds me of that TikTok you sent me about that guy. He said you can't tell your brain, oh, I don't want to have this or I don't have
yes,
anxiety or depression. You got to show your brain, like, no, we really need to do this thing
yeah,
because if not, then your brain is going to be used to the patterns that you usually do.
yeah.
So I
That's
think
how I
that,
feel.
yes, that was it. That's it.
But to answer your second question, how was my creative process while I was out there?
Yeah.
Um, Shooting in another place is always fun, but it's fun for reasons because I get to see cities in a way that the people who live there don't see them because I don't know where to go. I don't
Mm,
know where to go. I don't know what to look for. I don't know where the hottest spot is. So I'm just finding
right.
little pockets of areas. And so I think that's the beauty of it is because I get to explore and then it challenges my brain to just think on the go. And
Right.
that's another thing with my style of photography. Like not only am I in a new place, not only do I have to look for cool areas to shoot in, but they still want to post these pictures today or tomorrow. Like
Yeah.
so my process still is the same. I'm just not in my environment. And so I think that's what makes it challenging, but it's a fun
But it's
challenge.
fun. It's kind of
And then
like,
when you come back to your city, I
mhm.
think it forces you to see your own city in a different way because you want to like have that spark at home when you
Yeah.
come back. So yeah.
And I feel like Dallas Fort Worth is so big. There's so many cities, so many different parts of the metroplex
It's
that
big, but it's not. it's big, but it's a lot of roads and highways. Like,
A lot of getting to and from.
yeah, it's a lot of getting to and from, for real.
Yeah.
So it's like in other cities, like I could be in they downtown and just like walk around the corner or something and see something. But I feel like in Dallas, it's like once you've shot all over downtown, this
Yeah.
that's you gotta go to the next city
Yeah, that's
in
what I'm saying. Like it's more
Dallas.
cities to kind of discover, and then there's like many cities in between. But I feel like you've been doing this for so long that you've covered a lot of ground out here, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
What would you say your favorite place, like out of all the places you've captured images, like what's your favorite place in Dallas Fort Worth and outside of like out of state?
Okay, out of state, and I'm gonna say out of country
Oh yeah, that too.
is.
Cause you be traveling.
So you want me to pick another state and another country, or just another place, not Dallas?
Let's do three. Dallas Fort Worth,
Okay,
US, out of the country.
okay. My favorite area in Dallas, I'm gonna say downtown. And I'm only say that because that's my stomping ground. That's where everything started. I feel
Yeah.
like I know downtown like the back of my hand. I can
Yeah.
find a parking spot faster than anybody. Like we could bet on it. If we get downtown, you trying to see who could park fast? Me. I know where they all at.
I know I'd be
I
like,
know where
I'm
all
parking.
the
You'd be
men
like,
is
yeah, I'm parking too. And you already at the door. I'd be like, okay, so where'd you
at.
park? Memo.
Yeah, so downtown, that's my favorite. Favorite place outside of Dallas, but still in the US. I'm gonna say New York. Yeah, I'm gonna say New York. That was the most fun. That was the most I've ever moved around in another city. Most of the time when I go to another city to shoot someone, like I'm either at the studio or at the event or what. So I'm
Oh,
not
okay.
really
So you were in the
out on the
streets when
street.
you was in New
But
York.
yeah, in New York, I was in the
Yeah.
streets, so that was
Yeah.
fun. My favorite place outside of the US one that I worked is Bali.
Ooh, yeah. I
That
remember that
was
trip. I remember
fun.
those pictures. Yeah.
That was so fun.
You went
That
with
was so
Jaleesa, right?
fun.
Whenever you went.
Yeah, that was fun. That
Yeah.
was like that was the last trip I went on before the pandemic.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was right before the pandemic, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had just got engaged, and then the next month I got secretly married in Japan, and then the pandemic happened.
Yeah. I remember that. That's so cool. New York, I'll go back to New York. Like, I feel like whenever I go to New York, it's kind of like, I don't know, I just come alive out there and it's so much like everybody's moving. You hear like the honking, you hear some music here and there, and it's just like these hidden gems and places to shop
Yes,
and
I
like
love New
places to
York
eat.
because all of that, but also like you said, the hidden like you could be walking by. Is it like a brownstone? Is that what they're
Yeah.
called?
Yeah.
And like there's a restaurant in the basement area of the
Yeah.
brown.
And you
Like
like
you
go
can go down
down.
the steps, and I'm like, oh my
We don't have
gosh,
stuff
that is
like that
so
in
we don't
Texas,
have
so it'd be cool to
nothing.
us. Like,
You gotta drive 15 minutes to go to the cool place.
yeah, you gotta, yeah. Or, you gotta drive 40 minutes. But I'm gonna
Yeah.
get to that food though. So, but yeah, so we can talk about so many different things. And then too, like off the cuff. If there's anything that you wanted to touch, feel free to let me know too. My last question would be, what would you tell Marika or anyone who is coming into the photography, industry? What would you tell that person with everything you've experienced and know now?
So one thing that was told to me that sticks with me in everything I do. My friend Julian, she told me this. She was like a mentor to me. Starting out in my business, she taught me um, a lot of things. But one thing she said to me that has always stuck with me is don't do anything out of desperation.
Mm,
And so I just say that as a creative or entrepreneur or whoever, um, And she said that to me at the beginning. So I'm thankful because I hear that in the back of my head in everything I do. And so because I feel like in this industry or just being an entrepreneur, you're your own boss, which is a good thing and a bad thing
It can be
sometimes.
challenging.
Because because you don't know how to filter out a lot of things until you experience it. And so I will say that quote or her saying that to me has stopped me from taking certain projects on, taking
Hmm.
certain clients,
Hmm.
overworking myself or overcommitting to things. Like it has just stopped me from doing things that I know would hurt me more in the future than if I just said no, or if I just took the break, or if I
Yeah.
just declined. Because I know that question, in the conversation in which she said it to me, it was in relation to like money. Like, don't do anything out of desperation. Like, no matter how much money somebody offering you or whatever. But I think it could also go to anything. Like, don't do don't do anything when you're desperate for it. If you're doing it because you're desperate for it, don't do it.
Yeah.
Take a break, take a minute, take a breath, figure out why you're desperate for this thing, and then go from there.
Yeah.
But don't just
Practice
be,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
don't be taking clients, projects, money out of because it's not gonna end well.
Don't be posting.
Yeah,
You
that's a
ain't gonna
good
do
one.
numbers really because
Yeah,
it's just not aligned.
that's a good one. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's the number one thing I would say.
I want to point out too, this year will be what, 10 years?
10 years when I started my YouTube channel.
Yes. So that was around. So how long have you been doing photography? Because I thought the 10-year mark was what we
No,
talked
so
about.
okay, so here's how it all went
I
down.
was
Okay.
okay.
So when I was 19, I was in my college apartment bawling my eyes. Actually, I was 18, about to be 19.
Hmm.
I was bawling my eyes out because I always wanted to be a nurse. And I was like, I'm going to be a nurse. I'm going to help people. And I had to ask myself, why do you want to be oh, now that I'm thinking about this story, it's just full circle. But I was like, why do I want to be a nurse? Like, really, why do
Hmm.
you want to be a nurse? And one, my aunt, she's a nurse. And she just always seemed to like move to the beat of her own drum. Like,
Hmm.
she wasn't at work when everybody was at work. She wasn't asleep when everybody was asleep. She was just always on her own thing. And
Yeah.
I was like, she a nurse. I'm gonna do that because whatever she doing, I like that schedule.
That
So,
like, I need that life.
so she worked 3 days a week, 12-hour shift, all 4 days. I was like, that's pretty cool. So I was like, I want to be a nurse for the flexibility, not because I actually like medical field or want to be at the hospital.
Yeah.
I actually had to say that to myself. I was like, you don't want to do this. You just like the flexibility, the possibility that you only work 3 days a week. Cause I knew from an early age, like my mom has papers from when I was in the first grade and it says, what
Hmm.
do you want to be? And I put nurse. I knew from an early age that I wasn't a corporate. I didn't see myself in an office. I didn't see
Hmm.
myself as a teacher. Like I never saw myself waking up, going to work, coming home as everybody else. I
Right.
never saw that. So I only picked nurse because they seem to be the people who don't move how everybody else move.
Hmm.
So I'm in my apartment crying, bawling my eyes out. I had just talked to my sister because my sister quit basketball and that was like her dream. And so she 4 years older than me. And so like she's pouring into me like how she quit and how she felt. And like all I knew was I want to be a nurse. Like if anybody say, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a nurse. So
Hmm.
I felt like I was breaking up with an identity that I had created for myself.
Right.
So I think this day in my apartment. I cried and I prayed and I was like, God, I don't know what to do. This is all I ever wanted to do. Help me. Like, and I had a little blog at the time. I had Flunch or Fro, my little blog at the time. And my sister was like, well, have you thought about anything in the digital media or PR? And I Googled it. I didn't even know what PR was. And I was like, I don't know. And so the next day, I went to the counselor
Admission center.
advisor
Yeah.
office and I changed my major from nursing to PR. And this was like a week before Christmas break or something like that. I was
Mhm.
like, I ain't doing it no more. I don't like this. I'm not being a nurse. So I came home, cried, and I felt so like a weight lifted off of me. I didn't even know what I just did, but I did it. And so I was like, I'm going to start my YouTube channel because I had a blog. And then I was like, I'm going to start my YouTube channel. So on my 19th birthday, I uploaded my first YouTube video as Flanch or Fro on YouTube. And that was kind of like the snowball effect of who I am today. Because had I not made that change of my major, I don't think I would be doing what I'm doing.
Wow.
So that happened 10 years ago. Well, it will be 10 years in December.
In December. Wow.
And so from there, I started YouTube. I started going to natural hair events. And then at the natural hair events, I would take my camera so I could blog about the event when I got home.
Mhm.
So I wasn't trying to be a photographer ever. That was never the goal, the intention. I didn't know what I was doing. I just was learning. I was just learning me. This was the me post wanting to be a nurse. Like I didn't know nothing else. So this is just me figuring out, okay, what do you like? So I would go to these events, take pictures, put it on my blog, and then I would email the event coordinator, host, or whatever, and say, "Hey, I was at your event. I blogged about it. Here's the blog." And they'll be like, "Oh, who took the pictures?" And I'll be like, "Me." They'll be like, "Oh, why didn't you tell us you're a photographer?" And I'd be like, "Whoa, what are you talking about?"
I love this
Like,
story so much.
I'd be like, "Whoa, I'm not a photographer. I'm a blogger. You see my natural hair? Blogger."
Isn't it crazy too? Like that goes to show how things start. They never like they evolve and turn into like something way better than you
And
initially
what's
might have
crazy, and the
looked.
reason why I said this is full circle is because now I work 3 days a week.
That is wild. Oh, that is so cool though, right?
So it's like 10 years ago, I couldn't even see like this. All I saw was I had to be a nurse to have this life that I have now.
Right.
Okay.
Wow. And it's
Getting a
even
little,
better.
well, this is getting deep.
I know this is kind of are you getting emotional?
Mm-mm.
Oh my god, you guys. This is a moment. Just like we're gonna keep moving because I know you don't like it. But I think that, and this is why I love this, how the Rough Concept podcast came about. And you already know this. I'm just saying this for the people. Because I think we're all works of art. Like we're all masterpieces, like created by God. And I feel like He orchestrates our lives. Like when we truly pay attention to what it is that He's done and is doing in our lives, we get to see how what we thought something looks like, it can be even better and even more magical and beautiful. So when you started your blog, that was just you leaning into something that you love. And that goes to show like when we do that, beautiful things come from it because over the years, that was your rough concept move. That was like, it was like,
I
you know,
feel like the last 10 years was my rough concept.
hold on, let me tell you how I see it inside. I mean, from the other side, outside looking in. So we have this idea or this experience that sparks something in us to do a thing, right? And that's like kind of similar to like how my art, process goes. And then it's like this concept, like this rough sketch was your blog to me. And over years, it's been refining and refining and refining and refining to where you are now. But it's never like learning and evolving and changing as beings. We never hit like an arrival moment. And we don't want that, because I feel like then what are we here on this earth for if we're not learning and growing, right? And I think it's other aspects of our lives, like from being wives. It's like a rough concept to that. And over time it refines and refines and it beautifies, and we add color and the depth and we turn the opacity up, the hue, all of that. And being mothers, that's another rough concept, the rough sketch. Like, and gets refined, and he refines it and refines it. And it just gets more and more beautiful. So I'm excited to see how this masterpiece that God has in terms of your life, your specific makeup, Marca's masterpiece that God has, and how the layers and layers that he will continue to build on that, and how I just think is dope. And that's just how this whole concept came together with this podcast, is how while we're creating, we have our processes and we are creators of beautiful things. Like there's this creator that's like beautifying and adding beautiful hues and vibrant colors and stuff to our own lives and refining it and making it into this beautiful masterpiece that is our life. And it can be a masterpiece of a season, a masterpiece of a role or something in your life that you hold. And I just think it's dope. Like while we create, our life is being created, and we're creating our creative lives and our businesses and things. So it's just an all full circle, and it's so freaking
Yeah.
awesome. So hearing your
It
story,
reminds me of that quote I had you listen to, where when I was listening to that podcast, and she basically like, life is like you go through something and then you reach the start again, but now you have the perspective of the whole journey and you get to start
yeah,
again. I feel like I'm at the start, but telling the story is like, whoa, like,
yeah.
I, like I cannot believe that was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I remember it like it was yesterday. Like I could tell you, I was literally, my bed in the apartment was facing my closet, and I was between the closet and the bed, like crouched on the floor, like because
Mm.
I was so freaked out. I didn't know like what my life was gonna be like, what was about to happen, and I just felt God like like girl, if you don't just jump already, like.
Yeah. I feel that is, yes. Yes.
Yeah, so yeah, that was wow,
I'm so
crazy.
glad I asked that question.
Yeah,
Glad you can share that with us. But yeah.
that was good.
Yeah, was so good. I just like, that is the why of the whys. Like, so what's wild is when I have these conversations with, everyone that's gonna be that I'm gonna be in conversation with on this podcast, like we always touch like them starting something new and having the same like thoughts and feelings and emotions as they did when they started from scratch.
Yeah,
And I just think it's cool how it's just like we just all things like God makes all things like
it all
new. And I
works
think
out.
that's so lit. I just appreciate you being here, being a part of this journey, listening to my crazy ideas, and actually kind of seeing all this come together. But where can the people find you and your amazing work?
So you guys can find me on Instagram at being Marca if you want to like see me in my life. But if you just want to follow my work, you can follow me at Marrica Evans on the other Instagram. That's where I post all my pictures of my clients and stuff, because I like to keep that separate from me. Because like me, it's a whole thing, and so my work is a whole thing, and I don't need them
We just don't
overpower
want them whole
each other.
things together.
Yeah. So you can also find me at marcaevans.com. And if it's not Marca Evans on all the other platforms, it's probably Being Marca. And you can find me everywhere: TikTok, YouTube, Twitter. But I mainly be on Instagram, YouTube, or TikTok.
Yeah. Check out that YouTube. It's a journey and it's beautiful. So if y'all haven't
Yes,
checked out her
yes.
YouTube, it is so fun to watch. It's like watching like TV. Probably because you're my friend and I'm just like, oh, what you doing this week? Anyway, but thank you again so much for being here. I can't wait for everyone to hear your story. It's gonna be so good. And I love you and kiss Ray for me.
Love you too. This was fun. I'll probably talk to you as soon as we end this call.
Exactly.
Okay. Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that today's discussion sparked your creativity and inspired you to embrace your unique journey. Don't forget to share your thoughts, stories, and creations with me using today's creative prompt from the episode. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Leave a review, and let's continue to support and inspire one another on this incredible journey. Until next time, keep creating.